Welcome to the Private Practice Startup Podcast, where we help ambitious private practitioners across the globe to brand themselves and grow their dream practices. We chat with successful private practitioners, business coaches, and marketing experts, bringing you tons of practice building ninja tips. Visit privatepracticestartup.com for awesome resources, attorney-approved private practice paperwork, and our signature marketing e-course. Here are your co-hosts, Dr. Kate Campbell and Katie Lemieux.
Hey there, Startup Nation. Welcome back to another episode of the Private Practice Startup Podcast. You are joining us during our mini-series. Kate and I love to do mini-series, and this one has been so special. Honestly, I feel like Kate and I are gaining so much as we just hold space for therapists to share stories from tribulations to thriving as a therapist. And today we welcome Monica Pitek-Fugedi, and she's going to be sharing a little bit about her story very shortly. But before we do that, we hope that you guys joined us yesterday as we spoke to Tyrese McAllister. Honestly, I was holding back tears. She was so inspiring. Her daughter was murdered in 2017 after doing 25 years and still doing crisis and trauma work. And the resilience she has and the messages and what she's doing out there in the world today is amazing. You guys definitely don't want to miss that podcast. And before I introduce you guys to Monica, before I share a little bit about her, Startup Nation, if you're joining us for the first time, what a great time to be joining us for our podcast. We hope that you're enjoying this mini series, and we hope that you'll stick around. As a Startup Nation family, we're welcoming you with open arms, and we love to give gifts, and we would love to gift you your Dream Private Practice Playbook. And that's the exact methodology that Kate and I have used to create our six-figure private practices and help other therapists do the same. You can head right on over to privatepracticestartup.com, and right there on that homepage, you'll see a big old button. You can just go ahead and grab it right there. So that's our gift to you. And our loyal Startup Nation members, welcome back. It's great to have you joining us during this series. We hope you're enjoying it as well. So let's chat a little bit about Monica. So Monica once jumped out of a plane to impress a guy, and that didn't go so well. Her first book, Shade of Pink, is in the process of being published and should be out in the summer. She loves public speaking and did a TEDx-ish presentation that can be found on her YouTube channel about her experience with breast cancer. And her friends keep a running list of all her pet peeves. She might be around 30 now. I definitely want to hear that pet peeve list. But before we officially welcome Monica, let's take a quick moment for our sponsors so we can really honor the time that we have with our guests here today. Hey there, Startup Nation listeners. We have an interesting fact for you. Did you know that 75% of people will judge your credibility based on your website design? In other words, if you've been putting off updating your private practice website, you could be driving away potential clients and missing out on that income. So today we want to talk to you about a company called Brighter Vision. Brighter Vision makes marketing simple for therapists, starting with a professional website that's specifically designed to attract your ideal clients and get them to contact you. All of their sites come with unlimited support and are fully optimized to rank well with search engines. They've even designed an automated blogging and social media platform specifically for mental health professionals. Best yet, we've worked with them to create an exclusive offer just for you. Get $10 off every single month for your entire first year on any new Brighter Vision website package. Plus, try out their new social media automation platform designed specifically for therapists for 3 full months completely free. That's a total savings of well over $200. To learn more and get started, head over to brightervision.com/try, TRY/startup. Again, that's brightervision.com/try/startup. Therapy Notes, that's therapynotes.com. It's the highest rated electronic health record system that's specifically designed for behavioral health professionals. With over 1,000 verified reviews and an average customer rating of 4.9 out of 5 stars on trustpilot.com, Therapy Notes is the #1 rated EHR software that's proven to help automate your professional life. Billing, note-taking, scheduling, and telehealth have never been easier, with live telephone support available 7 days a week. So a real person can get you real answers really fast. Try Therapy Notes today with no strings attached. If you already use an EHR system, Therapy Notes can easily transfer your records safely and securely. Remember, telehealth is included completely free with every subscription. And there's always special discounts for nonprofits, students, and universities. Therapy Notes wants to personally thank you for making our world a safer space. Visit therapynotes.com and use promo code PPS, as in Private Practice Startup, to get 2 months free. That's promo code PPS. Monica, welcome. I so want the pet peeve list.
I know that there's so many of them. So some of them that come to mind are, group text messages that people go on. Well, I hate it when, you can only do it when you have an iPhone, and they have that like you can like the message, and then the whole message comes up. So if you're driving in the car and you have audio for your phone, it replays the entire message. Monica liked blah, 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 this whole paragraph. It's so frustrating. So that's one of them. I can't stand it.
That's funny.
And I hate it when people, and I hate it on Facebook or wherever you are, when people are like, oh, I want recommendations, and go. And I don't know why I don't like that, but it's such a pet peeve. And the word kiddos. I hate the word kiddos.
There was a whole thing in one of the therapists' Facebook group about that exact thing before I saw that, and people commenting back and forth. Very interesting. Well, thank you for sharing a little bit about your pet peeves, but I'm sure also Startup Nation is wondering about when you say you jumped out of an airplane to impress a guy and you wrote it didn't go that well. What didn't go well?
Well, it didn't go well because I ended up fracturing my ankle. I was on crutches for 8 months. I was in college at this time. I didn't think that he was seriously going to take me up on it when I said, my bucket list is to jump out of an airplane. And the next week he called me up and was like, let's go on an airplane. And it was our first date ever. And I went solo, it didn't even do tandem. And I would never do this now as, the age that I'm at, but I was young and stupid. But the good thing that came out of it is I'm still friends with that person to this day. So that's good.
I can't believe that you jumped out of a plane solo by yourself.
Yeah.
You have to pull your own parachute string. Oh my gosh. Wow.
Well, that's part of the problem.
Crazy.
I'm having anxiety right now thinking about that.
Because I didn't pull my parachute quick enough. That's why I fractured my ankle. I went slamming down on the ground. And then I fell down, and like any normal person would do, I started laughing because I couldn't get up. And I was like, I don't know what else to do. And people are thinking I'm dead, and everyone's coming toward me. And I hate all that attention. So.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, thank you for sharing your fun stories. So where should we start about your story and what you're here to share with us today?
Well, I have a private practice right now. Didn't always start out that way. Back in the day, I'll make this long story short. Back in the day, I wanted to be a mother, get married, get pregnant, all these things. And I had battles with infertility, and I never was able to get pregnant. And so during that time, I decided I'm going to go back to get my master's degree in counseling. So I got certified in both school and mental health counseling. And so I did that thinking, well, I need to take the bull by the horns, and I just need to do a job that I love. So I spent then 15 years as a school counselor and then a wellness counselor at a high school in Michigan. And I saw a lot of students that had anxiety and a lot of mental health issues that came up. And I started then working at somebody else's private practice, just kind of on the side, working with other people adults and trauma and anxiety and everything. And in 2017, I got diagnosed with breast cancer. So I was going about life. All was good. I didn't really think too much of it. And I got diagnosed with breast cancer. And for me, and a lot of women out there will be able to relate to this, my hair was a really big deal to me. So I was crying, I was inconsolable about losing my hair. And when you say that, it sounds superficial, but the hair was kind of my identity for me. Mm-hmm. I was always known as the tall, thin, pretty blonde, right? Growing up, I never had to be anything else but that. So I never really tried to lean into who I was. I could mask behind this mane of hair that hid all the insecurities that I had. And I lost my hair in a high school. I was working in the high school, and I thought, oh, how am I going to deal with this with 2,000 kids walking around, and I now have no hair, and it felt really, really horrible. And I thought everyone was staring at me. And then I went about my days during chemotherapy and losing my hair, and I blogged about it. And that is why I have the book Shade of Pink right now that's coming out. But I blogged about my experience, and in doing that, I was able to almost self-therapize because I was able to get everything out. Writing's a really big outlet for me. And what I realized is all of my emotions about identity and who I was were starting to come to the surface. And I realized I need to figure this out, right? I need to figure out what I'm all about, what I really love. And so as I went back to the school setting and was doing the practice, somebody else's practice, I realized I really, really love working with people in mental health issues. And I want more than just the school counselor type of a setting. I want to branch out and do my own thing. And so I opened Whole Mind Wellness in 2020, actually, right around COVID when that first started. So that was fun because everyone needs a little challenge. But the good news about that is that we all went online, right, in therapy. So it was during a time that I was not impacted by COVID. I was able to build my practice because anxiety was on the rise and everything. So like the good and the bad of it, right? But that has been wonderful because in the last year, I've been able to build my practice to full capacity, which is wonderful. And so now I'm looking at expanding and bringing on new clinicians and that. And so I love that we're now doing online because now I can service people all over the state of Michigan instead of just in my corner of Southeast Michigan in Commerce.
Yeah, that's amazing. So Monica, share with me again, and just for clarity purposes, when you got diagnosed with breast cancer, you were working in, you said, a school.
Right.
As a counselor during that time?
I was working as a school counselor. Yeah.
Gotcha. So what was that like for you going through chemo? Were you still working? Did you take time off? I mean, it can be pretty debilitating chemo at times.
Yeah, it certainly can. I'm not really one to ever take time off, and I didn't want the cancer to be dictating how I live my life. That's just kind of how I was. And so, so what I did was just keep going to school, but I lost my hair at the very end of the school year. So I didn't have, I didn't lose my hair until the end of the school year. So the students didn't see me until the fall when I returned. So they saw me at the end of the year with hair, and when I came back, I had no hair. So it was like, what happened to you? And nobody wanted to ask. It was like this elephant in the room. And so I have a really dry, sarcastic sense of humor. And when I get uncomfortable, I get kind of like awkward and weird. So I just bought a stuffed animal elephant and put it in my room because I'm like, well, here's the elephant in the room. Like, let's talk about it. So
was it pink?
It should have been pink, but it wasn't pink. It was great. It was an elephant. So I put that in my room, and some of the students that knew me a little bit better would start talking to me about it. And then I found, you know what? This is awkward for everybody. I'm going to start talking about it. So I would just be open about it and say what's going on with me. And I realized, wow, this vulnerability that I've been trying to hide from for so long is actually helping people to see their story in my story. And then they're able to share with me what they're vulnerable about. And I realized vulnerability is the biggest connector ever. And I don't know if I would have really learned that to the extent that I learned it had I not had to be in that vulnerable space myself.
And it's nothing that you could really hide.
No, I couldn't hide. Like I thought, oh, I'll do a wig, but they're itchy and just not for me. And so I decided I'm just going to rock out a scarf. And so that's what I did.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And so share with us a little bit about, you said really blogging for you was kind of like healing, your own therapy. What would you share about your journey, and what were some of the things that you went through?
I went through, a whole roller coaster of different emotions. When I read the beginning of my blog to the end of the blog, it's like a whole transformation of a person happened. And I don't subscribe to the everything happens for reason philosophy, but I do believe that things happen and it's up to us to find the reason. And I think that through my blogging, I was able to discover this new purpose for me that was always there, but maybe I needed something a little bit more extreme to really get it out of me because I'm stubborn. So I went through the fear of everyone's going to be staring at me. I'm going to be the girl with cancer. When people describe me, they're going to say it's the one with the headscarf, and that's all I'm going to be. I'm a shell of a person, basically. And then I went through the journey of writing about it, and I realized I'm not the only one in this club. Every time I went to the chemo room, everyone in there had cancer of some sort, and we were all part of this club that we didn't want to belong to. But in that was solace and comfort, and just being able to look at each other and say, I get you and I see you, was really, really empowering to me. And I thought, how can I bring this into the outside world so that I can be seen and other people can be seen in the way that they're intended to be seen?
Wow. Amazing. And did you is the blog now your book, or did you write a completely separate book?
Yeah, so the blog is now, I turned it into a book, and so it should be published. It should be coming out this summer. It's in the final stages of editing. It's called Shade of Pink, and it's written with complete candor and humor. If you talk to me, you know how I write. Like, I write like I talk. And so all about the medical funny things that happen and the things that are people should know about that they don't really talk about in books, and the things that it's really a lot for the caretakers too, and in a section of the do's and don'ts of handling somebody with cancer. So yeah, it's a pretty well-informed book for anyone who's going through cancer or caring for somebody who is.
It sounds like a really helpful book, and in a refreshing way as well. Like, your personality comes through, and cancer is such a heavy topic. And so often people don't know what to say, what not to say, how to approach someone with any type of cancer, much less breast cancer, what to talk about, what not to talk about. So to be able to have that book for both the person going through it and then also caregivers, I'm sure that's going to be able to help so many people. I know for myself, right after I had my son, he's 6 now, my best friend was diagnosed with breast cancer the same week that she delivered her daughter. And I went side by side with her on her journey. And it is a rough one. It's a roller coaster ride for sure, and very difficult one to navigate. And I'm just really inspired by your strength and courage to share your story and to speak so openly with your book and turning the blogs into that book to be able to help so many more people. What would you say are the main things that you really learned about yourself as you went through this process and really putting it all out there?
So I really learned that I'm really worth it, honestly. I learned that there's a space for me in this world that I never really opened up to before. And it's been said, I don't know who said it, but it really rung true with me. A couple things. A comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing ever grows there. Anybody who knows me knows, like, that's my jam. I say that all the time. I say it to my clients all the time. And also, like, when the fear of change becomes less than the fear of staying the same, then it's time to move. And that's kind of what I learned, is that, like, I was really able to inventory my life and what I was doing professionally. And I thought, it's fine, but I can do more, and I want to do more. And I'm going to go for it.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Were you always pretty kind of like authentic, vulnerable, or did this going through the breast cancer kind of have you become that way?
So I've always been authentic in what I thought vulnerable, but I realized going through the cancer, I really wasn't. I really wasn't showing up for myself in an authentic way. And if I'm doing that, I can't show up really for other people. I was playing the role that I thought I was supposed to be playing. And that role didn't really have a whole ton of power. And so when I'm stripped of all of those things that I leaned on for security, I had no other choice. Well, I guess you always have a choice, but I didn't take the choice to just crawl under a rock. I thought, this is what vulnerability looks like. And even if I never open my mouth, just stepping into a room creates vulnerability for me. So I might as well open my mouth and speak words into the air. So that's what I did.
Wow. And what was the role that you felt like you were supposed to be playing back then?
I was just the tall, thin, pretty blonde. Like, I was just the person that really did never have an opinion. I didn't cause waves. I was conflict adverse, which, I guess I kind of still am, but I don't shy away from it as much anymore. And I was just somebody who didn't really have a lot to bring to the table. And wow. Now I feel like I not only can bring things to the table, but I can create the table.
Love it. So, and did you know that when you talked about like going through the cancer treatments and chemo and you lost your hair, did you realize that your identity was caught up in your hair before or only until after you had lost your hair?
I knew it when I got the diagnosis, because I couldn't, I would imagine that a lot of people would be more afraid of the actual diagnosis, but for whatever reason, I never had a fear of death. My biggest fear was losing my hair. And so I really had to sit with that. There was a lot of times where I really had to sit and become curious, just like I tell my clients, like, curiosity is the key to self-discovery. Just dig deeper into the whys. And so I did that. And then I realized, holy moly, like I really, really attached to my hair, which is, I realized I don't want to be that person that is attaching to my hair and my appearance in that way. And it's not to say that that doesn't matter to me at all, but it's not who I am. It's not how I define myself at all anymore.
Mm-hmm. And I was going to ask, with these revelations that you had and really learning to be vulnerable on a whole new level, how did your friends and family respond to those big changes that you went through?
Yeah, my friends and family were phenomenal. I live in a wonderful neighborhood community, shout out to West Acres, where they actually rallied and built a garden for me, which I didn't deserve. I was so humbled. A lot of people donated to this little garden with furniture, and we have a wonderful master gardener in the neighborhood who architected the whole thing, and it was beautiful. And people who I didn't even know were bringing me dinners and just sending me well wishes. And my family was so supportive. Family on all sides were just so supportive of me. And work was super supportive of me. I really could not have asked for more support during this time.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. So with what you've been through and sharing your story with your book, how has that also informed the work that you're doing with your clients and the types of clients that you are most passionate serving?
Yeah. So for me personally, I specialize in anxiety and trauma treatment, and also work with couples. And it's really informed me that really the vulnerability piece has really informed me a lot, because going through the process of just being who I am in an authentic way allows me to show up for my clients in a very authentic way. Because I always tell my clients, like, I come at this from a very chill perspective. I want you to feel comfortable. That's the very most important thing to me. If you don't feel safe, you're not sharing your story. My goal is to help you feel safe and comfortable so that you can share your story with me. I want people to feel like they're talking to somebody that they've known. And so I have a very relaxed, comfortable atmosphere, which I don't know if I would have been able to do before cancer. I would have tried to be all poised and very professional. It's not that I'm not. It's not like I just throw my feet up on the couch, but I could, but I just don't. But but that I want you, like, if you were to see me on the street in any kind of atmosphere, you see Monica. Like, it's not a different person wherever you go.
And Monica, I'm also curious, is you shared a lot about like what you came out of it, gained lessons that you learned about you. As you kind of became more authentic and vulnerable, how did you impact others?
Well, That's a good question. Boy, I never actually thought about that one, but I do think that, well, no, that's actually what happened is what I noticed is that people would start to come to me when I was going through the journey of chemotherapy. I had more people that would come to me just sharing stories, not about necessarily cancer, just vulnerable stories. And I think that that was really impactful to them because they saw me being vulnerable and thought she's a safe place and I can be vulnerable with her. And I like to think it was really helpful in that way too. And I know a lot of people that I know read my blog too and commented that, oh, well, you know, I know somebody going through this piece of information is really valuable for me to be the caretaker. I didn't realize that I shouldn't bring them X, Y, or Z or ask this question or whatnot. So I like to think that was also helpful too.
Nice. And what is it that you're hoping to continue to inspire from, you know, your path and where you've been and what it is that you're doing out there in the world?
Yeah, what I really want is for people to know and to feel inspired to know that they are worth the effort it takes to live an empowered life. A lot of the times we walk around going through the motions and we think, well, other people can do that, not me. That's for other people. And at some point, sitting there and asking yourself, why not you? You can do anything you want. You're worth therapy. Therapy is a gift, right? It's a way for you to really process what you need to process to grow as a person and to impact the world in the way that you're supposed to. There's a place out there for you. Everyone has a seat at the table, and it's okay to change your dining arrangements sometimes.
I love that you said that, you know, what you gained out of it mainly is you realize you're worth it. Like, that's powerful. Super powerful.
Yeah. And I really want to empower other people to know that they're worth it too. I want people to know that every single thing that you do, every anxiety that you have, every action that you take has a reason behind it. You might not know that, but you're not crazy. Everything has meaning. And what we do in therapy is try to find that meaning.
Yeah. Nice. Monica, it's just been so great for you to be here and share your story. I have to ask, and I'm sure Kate's wondering the same question, and probably our audience too. You talk a lot about authenticity and vulnerability. Are you a big Brene Brown fan?
I do like Brene Brown. Yeah.
We love B. Brown too.
BB. Yeah. No, she's great. I've read most of her books. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Is there any other things that you want to inspire in your message today to our community in regards to what you've shared?
Yeah, I think that just empowering yourself and sitting with yourself and the things that are stopping you, are obstacles for you, really sit with them and get curious in them and ask yourself, what is the story that you're telling yourself? What is the narrative that's around you saying that you can't do something? And what would happen if you could? What would it look like for you if you could? And know that other people are doing it. There's no reason that you can't. You can do anything that you want to do. And I think that that's really important to know that wherever you are is okay, as long as you don't become stagnant there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here, Monica, and sharing your story. And we're excited to have your book come out, and definitely please send us the link once it comes out so we can add that to our show notes page. So,
Sure.
You know, the community can actually grab it. I love the idea of you really just kind of diving in and talking about your experience, but talking about the things that aren't shared, but also offering the caregiver to some perspective as well. So thank you so much for being here. And we hope that you guys join us tomorrow as we welcome Patrick Cassell. Patrick talks about his own tribulations to thriving as a therapist, being addicted to gambling for many, many years. So he shares what he's done, what he's created. And interestingly enough, Patrick, as we've seen him share on Facebook, he's very authentic, and he's actually the one that inspired us to create this mini series. So you'll definitely want to check out that podcast tomorrow.
Thank you so much for being here, Monica. And Startup Nation, we hope you enjoyed this episode. We always love to hear your feedback, so definitely let us know. We want to encourage you to subscribe, rate, and review the show, share with your friends and fellow colleagues. And if there's a topic that we haven't touched on yet, please let us know that too. We want to create content that's really meeting your needs along the private practice journey. So thank you again, Monica, for being here and for sharing your inspiring story with us. And we'll see you on the next episode. Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us on The Private Practice Startup. Visit theprivatepracticestartup.com for awesome resources, free trainings, attorney-approved private practice paperwork, and so much more.